Good evening, everyone. This is the penultimate session of the festival. So, I guess I'm going to start getting a bit emotional. We're going to talk about repair cafes, what they are, and why you might want to set one up, and how to go about doing it. This is going to be a slightly different session because we've got Catherine from I'm going to get this wrong. Catherine from Devon County Council, Helen from Community Action Group.
Yeah, CAG Devon, Community Action Groups Devon.
And there's also two amazing volunteers, Stefan and Kate, who are going to come on screen at some point. The limitations of Crowdcast are you can only have 4 people on screen at once. And I don't know yet whether if I turn my camera off, we can get the other 2 on. So we will have a go. And if we can have all 4 people up at once, that would be amazing. If not, we'll hear from Catherine and Helen, then boot one of them off and get Stefan and Kate on. And so we'll do it that way. So Stefan and Kate, if you're listening, then or you're watching, then that's kind of how we're going to do it. So if you get a little invitation onto screen, accept it, and we'll see how we get on. As ever, there's that chat box in the right hand side. There's the ask a question button at the bottom of the screen. So if you've got any specific questions, do ask. And I think I can't remember who you said was going first, Helen or Catherine. But anyway, I'll set up and I'll ask one of you, and I'll ask you guys to start and introduce yourselves, and then and I'll turn my mic and my camera off. But I'm here if there's any tech issues, and I'll keep an eye on the chat for you, and then I'll come back on at the end and we'll go through the questions.
That'd be amazing. Thank you.
Brilliant. Right, I'll disappear, and whoever wants to crack on can crack on.
Brilliant. Hello everyone, and welcome to our talk about repair cafes. I am so glad you're here. This is the end of what's been an amazing week, and I'm so glad that you're able to give us some time to come along and find out a bit more. So I know this is prime putting the kids to bed time, having a meal, or just opening the crisps and wine after a hard week. So we really appreciate you being here. So whether you want to find out more about what repair cafes are and how you can get involved, or if you really want to start one up yourself, you're in the right place. So the first thing I'd like to do is I'd like to introduce some of the panel members I've got with me today, and I'm going to start off with the lovely Helen Vines. So she's the coordinator for Community Action Groups based in Devon. And Helen, take it away. Tell us all about yourself.
Okay, I'm going to try and keep it fairly short. So, hi everyone, great to be with you. Just briefly, I'm mum of one. She's 13 tomorrow, so lockdown. And she's a great fan of Greta, as we all are in this household, and was lucky enough to go and see her at the climate strike in Bristol. So that was really exciting. I am also, I'm the daughter, one of 3 daughters of a mum who taught me to darn and mend things as I was growing up. And my dad, this might resonate with some of you, my dad, in his garage, he kept wood, bits and pieces, anything that might come in handy for that time when he's going to mend or repair or build something. So I've kind of grown up with a kind of mentality of, we don't chuck stuff out. Some might accuse me of being a hoarder, but definitely make do and mend mentality. So in my role, I'm really fortunate to support groups that have similar attitudes and values to me and are involved in all sorts of initiatives around waste reduction and reuse. So that's me in a nutshell.
Fantastic. So Kate's from Kate Yo's from Sustainable Bishop, and she's very active in her community, and amongst other things, she's been involved in the setting up of her local repair cafe. So Kate, would you like to introduce yourself to everyone, please?
Oh, okay. Can you hear me all right?
Yes.
So I'm Kate, a founding member of Sustainable Bishop, which is Bishop Stainton in Devon. We're a very small community, about 2,500 in the village. I'm hugely keen environmentalist. I've been interested at all levels, going from community gardening and also being on the climate emergency parish committee, etc. And when I find sustainability all a bit too overwhelming, then I go to my passions of gardening, eco gardening. dog walking, exercise, and general daydreams.
Sounds amazing. Sounds amazing. So, Jen, if I could ask you just to kick Helen off for a minute, and we'll get Stefan on from the Blackdown Hills Repair Cafe. Stefan, are you there?
Hold on 1 second.
Okay.
My tech skills aren't quite so.
Sorry.
That's all right. All right.
Complicated.
Coming. Here he comes. Here he comes. Accepted and connecting. We just have to entertain ourselves for a little minute while he comes on.
Stefan is one of our Repair Cafe superstars. He ran one of the events that had the most items fixed. I think they fixed something in the region of 280 odd items in a single Repair Cafe session. And Stefan has taken over the running of the Repair Cafe in the Blackdown Hills, but has been instrumental from the start. And it really has been quite an awesome Repair Cafe. And he's got a lot of knowledge. Very keen on data collection, so he's going to give us some fabulous insights of how he runs his Repair Cafe, if we can find him.
Yeah, still says accepted and connecting. So
fine. I know he had some issues with his Wi-Fi.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he lives in a glorious part of Devon, kind of, but you know, where the technology hasn't quite reached its full potential yet, shall we say? So I think at the moment. Yeah. So I think at the moment what we might have to do is just hope that Stefan can come and join us in a minute, and maybe we can get Helen back, and so I better introduce myself next, I suppose. So I'm the Reuse Project Officer at Devon County Council, and I work to support reuse charities, the household recycling centres and the general public. My aim is to help reduce the amount of electrical, textile and furniture items end up at disposal sites. So I'm a mother of two and a keen environmentalist, and until I started my role a couple of years ago, I'd never actually heard of Repair Cafes, and now I'm possibly their biggest supporter. You know, it's great to be here and talking to people about this, and you know, we will make a start into the main sort of body of the talk now. So I would imagine most people listening are like me. You've got a few items that are sat in a garage or in a cupboard or just tucked away that are broken and that you at some point are going to get around to having a go at fixing. Or maybe you've got a mending pile of clothing that's yay high. We're all the same. So this is where your local Repair Cafe can come in. So if we start at the beginning. They started in the Netherlands in 2009 and were actually started by a journalist called Martine Postman. She wanted something to help build the sense of community, and she thought that bringing people together to fix things would do that. She had an interest in preventing social isolation and passing on skills, and of course repair cafes encapsulate all of that. Since then, they've really caught on, and there's now repair cafes in 36 countries across the world, and there's over 2,000 repair cafes worldwide. And since 2017, there's been a massive spike in the interest in the number of repair cafes, and in Devon, we've seen the number of repair cafes rise from 6 to 16. So Jen, Helen's going to do her bit of talk at the minute. So if you want to just kick me out, and then maybe there's room for Stefan and for Helen to do her talk.
Brilliant. Yeah. Let me see. Just while we're swapping over, when I did our Make, Do and Mend year, so our year buying nothing new, that's when I found out about repair cafes. And when I did, so that was 2012-13, there were 3 in the country. And so that just shows you like how quickly they've caught the imagination. And I mean, you guys might have better figures than me, but I think that, you know, there are certainly hundreds now, aren't there, around the UK. So yeah, I'll shut up and let Helen go.
Okay, so I'm just going to explain very briefly a little bit about the support that's available in Devon. I don't know whether we've got anybody else listening in from Devon or indeed Oxfordshire. Just put a little thing in the chat if you are, because I don't want to teach granny to suck eggs, as they say. But in Devon, repair cafes, fortunately, there's quite a bit of support available for them. So 2 projects. So there's Catherine, who works for Devon County Council, and then there's myself and Claire, who work through Community Action Groups Devon, CAG Devon, short and snappy. And we've been working supporting groups, including repair cafes, but also including groups that are involved in clothes swishes, food surplus cafes, refill campaigns. So lots of plastic-free community campaigns. So Kate is involved in that in Sustainable Bishop, for example. Tree planting, composting projects, all sorts of stuff. So quite a wide definition really, and everything's sustainable. But the model came from Oxfordshire. So CAG Oxfordshire's now got over 80 groups doing all sorts of wonderful things all around sustainable and sustainable-ish stuff. So Claire and I, that's my colleague, we support groups in Devon in terms of helping them set up a group, helping them get insurance for the activities that they're doing, running training sessions. So earlier in the year, we ran a bike maintenance course for repairers at repair cafes, PAT testing for electricals, that sort of thing. Providing them with templates, risk assessments, basic constitutions, all the things that a group might need to go through to help get themselves set up. We're there to hopefully make those barriers melt away and help them get onto the things that they want to do, which is actually running the sessions, running the repair cafes, doing the litter picks, whatever that might be. So one-to-one support we can provide. And then Catherine provides the Devon County Council support. I could bring her in just for a tiny bit, but I'm going to plough on through her bit. Just so there's Stefan. Somebody changed the about. So just the other thing that we help the group do is pull together some basic data around what they're doing and the impact that they're making. And we've just literally pulled together, this is a very crude way to do it, but I'm just going to wave this infographic at you, which is the CAG Devon stats for the last year and the impact that they've been involved with. I can share this as a proper link, but just our 14 groups that we've been working with have done an amazing amount of work, including over £100,000 worth of volunteer time into their activities. They've run over 265 events. They've avoided carbon emissions of get my figures muddled up here, 8.54 tons, and prevented 5 tons of waste going into landfill. So some really good stuff there. So we help with the stats as well. Catherine covers the rest of Devon, including Torbay and Plymouth. She's got a slightly different remit. So she works with the repair cafes in that area, but also a whole host of other initiatives in that area. So we wanted to talk just briefly. I love this infographic too. It's definitely share it with you. Just looking at the chat there. So repair cafes, what are they? How do we go about setting one up? Basically, we've got 2 of our fabulous star volunteers here who are going to share some of their stories in a while. But basically, repair cafes are run by volunteers, often held in church halls, community spaces, sometimes in schools. The number of volunteers varies, and the services that you can offer at a repair cafe basically depends on the volunteers that you can attract to it. But generally, they'll offer sewing repairs, electrical repairs, electronics, and tool sharpening is a very popular option as well in repair cafes. Some offer upholstery, music instrument repairs, and even bookbinding. It depends on the people that you've got in your locality that come forward to offer their services. So if you haven't been to a repair cafe before, just let me talk you through the process. So basically, we've got a box piling up of things that we're going to take to our next repair cafe when they're all allowed to start again. So when a person arrives at a repair cafe, they'll sign in, explain what the items are that they've got with them. They'll be given a little ticket and they'll sign a waiver agreeing that all repairs basically are at the owner's risk. Though obviously, we try to ensure that all the repairers are insured and they are fully competent. So no one ever takes on a repair that is beyond their technical abilities. So, if you've if you've got an electronics repairer that's never used a Mac, then they're not going to, agree to take your Mac apart for you. So all items that require it are also PAT tested by a suitable person. And what we find is that many of the volunteers, particularly the electronics repairs, they're already working in the repairs sector. So they're often offering their skills just additionally. So once you've signed in, you'll then be shown to a waiting area. Some fixes, depending on what it is, can take quite a long time. Some can be quite quick. So be prepared to wait. But the good thing about repair cafes, they're really sociable spaces. There's usually tea and cake and often a bacon butty on hand. So it's a really lovely opportunity to take a seat, meet fellow people, visitors, and also to have a chat with repairers. They're very sociable spaces. So I've often asked menders why they give their time for free. And more often than not, they say, it's just a bit like my dad. He loves fixing stuff and likes to see the range of items that are coming in. So repair cafes will often mend things that have no particular high monetary value, but they're hugely sentimental to people. So, for example, there was an elderly lady who brought in a 90-year-old ceramic bunny rabbit figurine that needed gluing together, and it had belonged to her mum, and she was just so happy to see it repaired again. It reminds me of, does anyone watch The Repair Shop on BBC Two, Wednesdays, 8 o'clock? I love that programme. I'm in tears every week. More about the stories, just as much about the stories as the skill of the repairers. Just amazing. If items can't always be repaired, and not always that they can, so I took a heater to my last repair cafe. They couldn't repair it at the time, but they explained to me the parts that were needed, how much the parts were, where I could get the parts from, and offered to either fix it for me the next time I went back, or showed me actually how I could mend it myself. And once I'd got into the heater, it was relatively simple, and I did actually manage to mend it myself. Yes. So that was good. So if it's not mendable, then a repairer will often check to see whether the part is available and whether the cost of replacement is worth it for you as the mender. So on occasions, if there's a repair of a laptop, for example, and it's not practical, the mender might take out the hard drive, so it can be safely recycled and that your information is safe. If you do need a part, then you can order it and you can either bring it back next time and they'll repair it for you, or, as I say, offer advice. So the other thing I took to the last repair cafe I went to was a dress that needed some particular stitching, and I didn't think I was up to it, but actually she showed me a good way to do it, and I took it home and I worked it out myself. So if someone's struggling, then there's often good advice on how you can mend it yourself. So when it gets around to being your turn, you then meet the coordinator, who will check with the mender that they've got the right kit to mend your thing, mend your item, and then you can go and sit with the repairer if you want to, and you can stay with the item the whole time, or if you're happy to let them crack on with it, you can go and get another cup of tea or a piece of cake. And if you're interested, the mender usually loves to talk you through the process of the repair and how they're going about it. And it's a lovely time, again, to have a chat, meet other people in your community. And it's really quite a communal effort with people working on your item. If somebody says, oh, I'm not sure about this, and, ask somebody else to come in and help you with that. So, yeah, it's an interesting one. Be prepared to wait a little time. Repair cafe is normally a long morning session. Get in there early, I would say. And then sometimes, increasingly, actually, with built-in obsolescence of items, sometimes even actually just getting into the new items can be the thing that takes the time, with hidden screws or cases being glued. But all good fun. So interestingly, in Devon, what we found is repair cafes mostly frequented by an older crowd, if I can say that. And one of the challenges we are facing is trying to get the message out to everybody, different demographics and different parts of the community about repair cafes, because we all have stuff that needs that needs fixing. And too easily, we've kind of developed this throwaway culture, and this is kind of something that we want to challenge people on gently and move away from, really. So a couple of repair cafes, including Ashburton, have run children's sessions where they've invited children to come along and play safely under supervision with some electronics and take them apart and just explore, really. And these were really popular. So I think, Kate, I think you're looking to hopefully be doing this in future repair cafes that you're going to be running. So then once your item's been fixed or had a repair attempted, you return the form and then you're free to go. The service is free and the cafe is free, but obviously donations are always encouraged, and it just helps to keep the running costs of the repair cafe down. And yeah, and that's kind of it in a nutshell. So I'm just going to hand back to Catherine to do a little bit, and then we want to draw Kate and Stefan in to start explaining about some of the lovely things that they get up to at their repair cafes. So I don't know whether you at this point want to get rid of me, Jen.
Yeah, I'll boot you off, and I'll
boot me off.
I'll get Catherine back on. This is probably a question for Catherine when she comes on. But my understanding is that actually in Devon, you guys are really lucky to have the support of the council, because you know, I know there's 3 or 4 repair cafes in Bristol, and we've started. We had one that ran a couple of times in Warminster, and you know, normally in my experience, it's people just coming together and deciding that that's something they want to do. And I think councils are often a little bit kind of twitchy about not wanting to get involved because of the sort of health and safety and risk assessments and all that sort of thing. So, Catherine, I know you did like the big fix. You did this massive, great fixing event with all the repair cafes around the country. Is that true that you know, normally there isn't much for council involvement?
Yeah, it varies across the country, and I think they have had a bit of a hands-off approach because there is worries about health and safety and insurance and things like that. But I think now more and more, I went to a big conference of, you know, really boring council people who do the same thing as I do, and there was a lot of interest in it. And I actually won an award for the project that for the work that I'd done with repair cafes. So, and lots of people were asking me questions because they know that these things go on locally, but they're not really doing anything to support them. And one of the aims of the big fixes was that to try and get these repair cafes to make contact and work more with their local communities. I mean, repair cafes have so many benefits alongside just fixing things. They are an amazing place for people, you know, quite often older and retired, to come along and to be, you know, to interact socially, to use their skills, to pass skills on to younger people. And that keeps minds and brains sharp, you know, prevents social isolation, which we know, especially in lockdown, how damaging it is being, you know, sort of a step outside of the rest of the community. So there are so many benefits just alongside the environmental. So I think it's something that definitely a lot more sort of councils and things are starting to get on board with. I mean, councils don't tend to move particularly quickly. So, you know, but now we can see how much they're growing. I think that they're definitely getting more interested. So, you know, my part of the talk now is about, you know, if you want to set up your own repair cafe. So, you know, and that kind of leads really nicely into my next point, is there is sort of varying levels of support available depending on where you live. For example, Repair Cafe Wales are doing great stuff, and I think in the last year they've set up 27 repair cafes. Now, I can't comment on every area in the UK because I don't know, but I do know that Cornwall have just created and are just about to publish an amazing guide. We worked with them to help them create it so that they can support repair cafes to set up. Obviously, CAG Oxfordshire have been doing brilliant stuff for years, so I think there is generally a lot more interest. So I would always say, if you're looking to, absolutely speak to your local council and see, you know, and see what they're doing to support, if they've got any support available for you. The Repair Cafe International group. They have a web page and a Facebook page, and that's a really good way if you're looking to see if there is a local repair cafe to you, because they have a postcode checker. So you just type your details in and it will show you your nearest ones. Now I know that there's 110 repair cafes listed on that site, but when we did some research for the Big Fix, we actually found 134 repair cafes. So there are ones everywhere, and it's worth having a look. So if you're a new repair cafe, it's absolutely worth getting in contact with them. Bear in mind, you should only call yourself a repair cafe if you are signed up to the repair cafe group. They ask for it's called a voluntary donation of €49. But what you get for that is they give you your spot on the map so that you can do the postcode check. But they also give you an excellent guide which has things like the templates, the waiver forms, the risk assessments. You know, we're really lucky in Devon because we've got amazing people like Helen from CAG who can help you with this, but most places won't have that. So they provide some of the tools and documents you need. They also have all the branding and the images so that you can create your own posters and things like that. I believe they also give you a voucher which allows you to buy discounted tools, so that, you know, it's €49 if you can. That's going to really benefit you. Their Facebook page is pretty active. They've got a lot of repair cafes that post and support each other, but themselves, they're not able to give that much help and advice, unfortunately. Their page is run by volunteers on a part-time basis, and there's a lot of repair cafes, so they absolutely do what they can, but you know, it's a bit limited. So my advice always is, as a first step, to go visit as many local repair cafes as you can. I've been working with them for 2.5 years, and I found them to be the most friendly bunch. I mean, they really are, you know, they're really keen to support and advise each other. So I'd go visit a few, talk to the person running them, go speak to some volunteers. And then the next step would be to have a local meeting, and whether you have this in a pub, a cafe, or a community centre, and just find out what the interest would be. So whether people would want to come, if people would want to be volunteers, and you can publicise this through your Facebook page or through maybe a parish magazine, or ask a journalist to write an article on it. So at this point, I want to bring in Kate. And Kate, if you could give me some information about, you know, how did you go about setting up your repair cafe? You know, how did you get the word out and find out if there was going to be interest locally? Kate, you're muted. Hello, Kate. We can't hear you at the moment. So I'm going to go to you, Stefan. I know your circumstances are a little bit different because the repair cafe was set up, and I know you were involved in that. But if you want to just sort of tell me a little bit about how you went ahead with, you know, setting up and your involvement in the repair cafe.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, certainly the initial stages are exactly as you said, Catherine. It's best to meet up together, first of all, to find the interests of the people in the locality, to see if they've got a real interest in coming together as a group. And there are things to repair. From that, you can then obviously look at that response, look at the interest, see if there are volunteers that want to come forward in several different roles: help in administration, help on the clerical side, help with reception. But in the main, of course, the most important part of the people are the actual volunteer repairers. So you need to look at where you can source those from. As you said, first of all, you can look at various industries, but there are very many people around that are very keen to repair things, exactly like you were all saying.
Yeah.
From background, they've always been tinkering, mending things. Perhaps some of the older parts, initially older people in the community, but a lot of the younger ones are coming onto the same thing now, thinking the same way.
Amazing. Kate, have you managed to get yourself off mute yet?
I don't know why that's it seems to be stuck on the muted thing, and I can't hear you either, Kate. Maybe try, if I close you down, Kate, and then invite you back on, we'll see if that works all right. So again, we'll just chat amongst ourselves for a little minute.
Oh, it's the tech. It always happens. I tell you. Never mind. We are getting there. Yeah, it's got that Friday feeling. I understand. So, I'll just crack on for a bit, and we can bring Kate in a minute. So, setting up a repair cafe takes a team of people.
You're there, Kate.
Here you are. Amazing, Kate. Kate, do you want to tell us a little bit about how you went about setting up your repair cafe and getting the message out?
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah, you're a bit echoey.
Kate, have you got any other windows open on your computer? Because it's quite echoey. I don't know if that's why.
Okay. Sorry.
Oh, that's better. Let's talk again.
Yeah, is that better now?
Oh, much perfect.
Perfect.
Okay. Well, because we've got our group Sustainable Bishop, and as I say, it's a small community, and there's a lot of community groups overlapping. So I guess we've got quite a big. We know the doers in the village, and we particularly linked up with the health and well-being group, who were trying to sort of deal with the issues of loneliness and bringing out retired folk maybe to help. So we do our repair cafe slightly differently than maybe others, and we're not so geared up to getting maybe professionals in to do the repairs. They're retired people who want to show off what they can do, and they can do a jolly good job actually. And just sort of finding people within our community, and the way we do it to actually find our repairers is almost seeing what skills people have, and then gearing it up around them. So we've got quite a big sewing group, and sewers in the village as well. So sewing is a huge part of our repair cafe. And then a young teacher decided he wanted to help as well. So in fact, we decided to try out Repair Kid, which was the first one I think done. And it comes from Holland as well, the Repair Kid situation. So as I say, we gear it up to around the people that we can find who want to do it.
That's amazing. And that's such a sort of great approach as well. So as you just mentioned, Kate, you've got to find your doer. And I always say, it can take a team of people. We've had repair cafes that have been set up by one person, and sometimes it's kind of done with a team of people. But you need to find that one person to help you who's a doer, and they need to be someone with excellent organisational skills, who's got the time, who can communicate effectively, and is good at delegating jobs. Being a little bit bossy probably helps as well, to be fair. And usually those people are actually the sorts of people that are involved in everything, because they are that kind of go-to person. As you were saying, Kate, there's lots of those in your community, and that's how you get things done. So, but when it comes to your volunteers, you need more than just your menders. I mean, menders are the core, the backbone of this. But what you also need is sorry, bear with me. Right, so when you're looking at your volunteers, obviously you've got your amazing people like you've got at Kate, your retired people with skills who are just generally good at turning their hand to anything. But you might also want to contact some local repair businesses. Now, there was a little bit of concern, about maybe we're taking business away from some of the repair shops. But actually, we've found that on the whole, that's not the case. People who will bring their laptop and are prepared to wait a month, or maybe have to go away and get a part and wait 2 months for their laptop fixed, are unlikely to pay for the repair, because if you were, you'd take it to the repair shop. So we find that we get a lot of professional menders in, and whilst we say you'd hand over an old bedroom lamp to a talented amateur, but you probably wouldn't your laptop. So we but as aside from kind of your professional menders, your lovely volunteers, you also need people who are going to do things like cover your reception. You need people who are going to put up posters, who are going to do social media, who are going to write your press releases. You know, these are really invaluable skills. And actually, I've found with most of the repair cafes, this core of people are the people who are often hardest to recruit. You know, so you need to have a real think about the spread of skills that you have. Stefan, how many volunteers do you have on your books, and you know, what sort of proportions?
I didn't give very much about my background, so a little bit about that. Can I or not?
Yeah, of course, go for it. Yeah.
Well, I'm retired, and I have been for a few years now. And after retired, I did a little bit of work with my brother on the building, but I've always been keen on woodwork and that sort of thing. And I've just become a granddad. I've just got an 8-week-old little granddaughter, which is quite nice. But I'm still doing some woodwork and bits and pieces and home isolating just now. So I've made lots of bird boxes and different items, which I enjoy, and that brought me to utilising reused wood, looking at what I could do with it, how I could reuse it, and what have you. So that's brought my interest. Currently, because we've been running the Repair Cafe in the Blackdown Hills now for 2 years, and I've really been pushing this event, especially with the event of the Big Fix. The first one that actually Catherine held in Exeter, and then obviously that was last year, and this year, the year before, this year, the one we held now in our individual repair cafes all around the United Kingdom. And I was proud to say, after 2 months of hard graft and work, mainly from what I put forward myself, we've actually achieved the biggest, the best in the whole of the United Kingdom. It's just a bit of a plug. Currently, therefore, I've got 62 volunteers on my books.
Yeah.
And this ranges, obviously, the most important of the volunteers are the repairers themselves. But as you say, we need clerical, admin, floor assistants, cafe people, finance people. We need car parking, even a whole range of individuals. And sort of to cover with that, you know, we cover now a range, which you say that the most important or the most general ones are electricians and knife sharpening, very, very popular. Computer, laptops and phones, bicycles, clocks and watches, furniture, wooden items, jewellery, ceramics, sewing, that's clothing and other textiles, lawnmowers, sewing machine repairs, guitars and violins now, bookbinding, and then other general gluing and soldering items. So you can, if you look around, and it's not, you know, that difficult. You need to get involved. You need to get out to the community. I spend a lot of time setting these events up. And I think the biggest, the best way of doing this is face-to-face, just going to different WIs, different community meetings, just village meetings, meeting people and just inquiring what skills they might have. We have produced posters. We have actually produced another poster to say, have you a skill to share and some time to spare? Send that around. But I find by travelling into pubs and into different village halls and just chatting, I find people are very welcome to come forward and carry out.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you spend half your life talking about your repair cafe, don't you? I mean, you're always telling me of the fabulous people that you've met. And Kate, how have you found? I know you build your repair cafe around the skilled people that you have, but how have you found attracting people to do some of the other roles in the repair cafe? You know, from the reception and posters and social media and all that type of thing.
The refreshment side of it is very popular. So there's almost a sort of a cake baking section in the village who are quite happy to bake cakes for any event that's going on. That's almost, they're coming into their own now, you know, and they'll help out. And then we've got our own core group people within the Sustainable Bishop group, and I think that's the thing maybe where we fail a bit because we try and do a bit of everything. So we do repair cafe, but we do plastics and we do all tree planting and we do the whole shebang really. So probably sometimes we don't spend enough time making it an absolutely perfect repair cafe because we're too busy trying to organise the next thing as well. So again, we just, it is just friends of friends and just trying to get the word around the village. I must admit, we have tried, using things like the Parish Chronicle for people to come forward, and and it is quite difficult. It's not always easy to get people to come forward. Actually, some people are quite shy, so you almost need to ask, who knows somebody who might, and ask them to tap them up for you. Especially as soon as we've only now done 2, so we're still sort of maybe at the early stages of it all as well. So and we are only a small community, so
absolutely.
But we do have our fixers and volunteers cover the whole sort of range of ages. So we get our scouts involved as well, and
amazing.
So and I say this very affectionately, but the local geek, he's great with our tech stuff. So we sort of cover, but obviously we're building all the time on it.
Absolutely. And and that's what I love about the Repair Cafe movement, is there is not one size fits all. When we did the Big Fix, part of what we did, I asked people to register, and I asked them a few questions about their individual repair cafes, and I found that the breadth and the kind of the style and who fixes what and all sorts of things was all completely different, and they can be tailored to your community. So whether you live in a in a small rural place in Devon, or as part of a big city, so it's fantastic, and I think that's where the flexibility comes in. I think, Jen, if you can bin me off now and get Helen in, and Helen's going to do this next bit.
Yeah, no worries. Right, let's get rid of you, Catherine. Feels so mean. And let's find Helen. This is a bit faffy, isn't it? This is the one irritating thing I found about crowdcasters, that you can only have 4 people on at once, but it's not the end.
Hello. It's keeping you on your toes, Jen.
Yeah.
So we just wanted to talk about a couple of other things around the logistics of actually setting up, if you're thinking of setting up a repair cafe, some of the things that you need to be thinking about. And in the link of resources there, I've put a link to the CAG Devon guide on how to set up a repair cafe. I don't know if you can see it there, and you'll also find some other resources there, but it encompasses a lot of what we've been talking about this evening, so want to go back to. So one of the things I did want to just briefly touch on was what venue should you have for your repair cafe, and where should it be, and what are the sorts of things that you need to be thinking about? So as Catherine was saying, there isn't a one size fits all, which is great. It's great to have that diversity. What we find is a lot of, in terms of venues, a lot of repair cafes are either in your community hall, village hall, or local school, sometimes in converted churches, occasionally in libraries. I think most of the ones in Devon are in community halls or primary schools, which are great spaces. So you're going to need the space really for a long morning, maybe an hour to set up, and then maybe say run from 10 till 1, and then an hour to clear up and get out. But again, there is no one size fits all. It's going to be what works for you and your repairers in your community. So one of the things you might want to think about when you're looking at venues, always go around and have a look first. Top tip, check how many power sockets there are there, because you're likely to need, I've got a little bit of reverb, I don't know where it's coming from. You're likely to need lots of power sockets for sewing machines, electronic mending equipment, all that sort of stuff. So just a useful one to think about, plus Wi-Fi, always good to have Wi-Fi. People are looking up where they might get parts from and things like that. So yeah, a few top tips around venues. Also, if possible, it's good to have a little bit of outside space that you can utilize. So if somebody's bringing along a lawnmower to be mended, the venue owners might not necessarily want you bringing that in, because who cleans their lawnmower before they bring it to the repair cafe? So parking, you might want to think about parking or not. The general rule of thumb is you need to be able to carry the article in or push it in. So no washing machines or chainsaws for that matter, actually. And as has come with both repair cafes with Kate and Stefan, a decent kitchen is a bonus because, you know, the tea and cake is such an integral part of any repair cafe. So the ideal space would be somewhere in the centre of the village or the town that people would be walking by and that they're familiar with on a general day-to-day basis. I'm guessing Kate and Stefan would echo that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so just in terms of, I just want to talk very briefly before I bring Kate and Stefan back in about kind of startup costs. Again, how long's a piece of string? It varies from place to place, but it's estimated that to run a repair cafe for a year, it's about £1,000, £1,000 to £1,500. There may be local grants available because, and it's really worthwhile talking to your district or your county council or indeed your town or parish council, because repair cafes usually support many of their own aims and objectives. Repair cafes, as we've talked about, take donations for the work that they do, and this can greatly offset your costs. In fact, for some repair cafes, I'm going to pull Stefan in a moment, it actually exceeds their costs. So then you've got that lovely issue of what do we do with the surplus that we've created. So on that basis, Stefan, you've had a great year, and do you just want to share a little bit about what you've done with your surplus?
Yes, certainly. We have been running, as I said, for 2 years. So we've accumulated in our funds about £2,000 from very generous donations from the public for all the repairs we've carried out. We have carried out quite a large number of repairs, and obviously a lot of that money came in from the recent Big Fix event. What I decided to say to the committee is I'd like to give this money back to the community, and can we come up with an initiative just to do that? So this is exactly what we did. We decided that with this funds, we'd like to give this money available, keep some money in retention if anything ever sort of went wrong. So we reserved £500 of it, but the £1,500 I said I want to give away to the any area within the Blacktown Hills that we could come up with a sustainable sort of project. And we set up a number of categories. And they were planting of a community school or orchard or vegetable patch, planting and maintaining a wildflower verge, running a skills share repair workshop for families and children, which you've already talked about, running a home-based repair support team to link with our local Blacktown Hills support group. And two others were, in fact, supporting a new repair cafe elsewhere in the Blacktown Hills, and publishing groups of local children for stories about climate change. Now, as a result of that, we had a number of people came forward, and I was pleased to say that we were able, with a little bit of extra funding, which I managed to achieve via Devon County, that I was able to give across, and I've actually said through the various activities, we're fortunate to offer small grants of £250 to Church Stanton Primary School for a local hedge generation project, to Hemiot Primary School for a kitchen garden project, to the Blacktown Hills Community Bus providing a service for the community, Repair at Home and a Skills Share scheme. I link those two together. The CBO News, they did an article for the School and Climate Change Project. So we were and also, sorry, two more. One more, the other one was a project raised for a vegetable bed for Hemiot Wildlife Flower Project. So all these people were very pleased. Obviously, with the coronavirus situation, they were unable to really start the projects. All I've really said, if they could do, was to give us some recognition, tell us what the money's been spent on and what they've done with the project. and be able to advertise that we are giving money back to the community. As I've said, the money that we've gained is not our money. It's money which the community and all the people really have given. So I felt it was a very worthwhile cause for us to ascertain something that we're giving back, from preventing things going to landfill, preventing things into waste, repairing all these items, and then returning the money back into the community. Absolutely
fantastic. Thank you, Stefan. And what a wonderful point to be able to get to within a couple of years. I mean, that really is kind of circular, keeping the money local, and, you know, circular economy. Just fantastic. Brilliant.
When you said just one quick thing about money, where to get money from, where to apply, there are sustainable funds that one can apply for. If you actually apply to your local parish council, Devon County, there are elements of funds available. It's just a matter of just searching where these are, looking where things are, but people are willing to give money to this sort of thing happening.
Yeah, great. Thanks, Stefan. Kate, do you want to add anything to that in terms of, did you access any small pots of funding to set yours up?
I think we had, I think one of our local councillors just gave us a small amount as a startup initially, and I think we've still got a little bit there so that one of our volunteers has trained up to be a PAT tester, and so we get the PAT equipment as well. So, but we have made money. I mean, you make money on the refreshments and things, but we're only the second one in, so obviously we haven't got any grand plans yet. But yeah, I think, you know, it's almost self-funding though. You know, apart from maybe a tiny little bit, you don't need that much. No. And also, I did go to our local DIY hardware stores. There's a private one, and there's also one of the chain ones, and asked them for some supplies for Repair Cafe, which people might find useful. So, for example, you know, donation of batteries and tape and other little bits and pieces, miscellaneous stuff, which might help the repairers. Yeah, fantastic. I'm just looking at the there, and Margaret was saying Derbyshire County Council gave them an action grant to help expand and buy new tools in Chesterfield. That's fantastic. And yet James saying local waste authorities can be quite supportive too in terms of funding and other support. So yeah, and actually it is relatively small amounts, and certainly in Devon, I don't know whether it's the case everywhere, but individual county councillors have their own small budget, which they, you know, choose how they want to spend it in their patch. So actually tapping your local friendly county councillor can also be quite useful as well.
Guys, can I just come in, because we've got like we've got another session to do at 8, and I'm just aware that there's some questions.
Yeah. Okay. So let's.
So, if I just run through these questions. Sarah's asking, how do you calculate the CO2? Is that just looking at the items repaired when you're looking at the sort of CO2 saved? So
certainly on the infographic that I shared with you, and for the data collection that we use, it's primarily the items rather than the travel to and from, the building use of the Repair Cafe. So that's my quick answer. Stefan, do you have a quick answer to add to that?
Yeah, we did. Sorry.
Go on. Yeah.
Sorry, we did the same thing, but with the calculation I think we gave, it was mainly went back to Catherine. We obviously do a very full analysis of everything we do, break down all the individual items that are repaired in all different categories, what's repaired, what's not repaired, what's taken home, what's given advice on, send all that information through, and then through that, I think the weight and the number, the calculations were calculated, and to give a figure from that.
Have you got, because I know a lot of repair cafes won't have the support of someone like Catherine to do that. Do you know if there's an easy way for people to do that? Because for me, as someone who's not a kind of, stats and data person, that would really put me off, thinking I've got to collect all these stats and,
get all this. The only other way, I do it collectively with another guy, Adam, but we feed that information through to the Repair International.
Oh, okay, brilliant.
And they hold it there. They hold the data, and then publish data for the whole of the UK and the whole of the world, actually.
Wow.
And we're one of the few repair cafes in the United Kingdom that furnish that information to them.
Oh, brilliant. Fab. What can people do if they don't have time to wait for repair? Can you drop off and pick up another time, or do you have to be there? And how do local repair businesses react to that sort of repairs being done for free?
No, that's okay. You can leave some items. People do. Obviously, when you have the registration form, you fill it in. We keep the documentation. We would then contact the people, or they would come to the next event. A number of our repairers are actual commercial people. Our carpenter repairer, in fact, he is a registered restorer, so he might get additional business. In fact, he has done. If they bring in an item which really needs a lot of doing, a lot of upholstery, he can take that on. They can charge individually, and also some of the other electricians and different people and seamstress. They're actually actual seamstress, but they get some money. They get some business from it because they're repairing curtains, they're repairing different things, and they can also get added business. So no, I've not had a problem with that. What I found is like an interesting story. I know we got a little bit of time left, only a little bit of time left, but I had a chap the other day brought in a electric hedge trimmer, which he took to a bona fide repairer in the town to look at to get repaired. They spent a lot of time on it. They came back on several times. They charged him like £50. They said, sorry, we can't fix this. We looked at it. One of our repairers looked at it. It only took him a few moments of time. Well, maybe half an hour. He looked at it. He sorted out the problem. It was only a problem within the cabling of it. He cut a piece off, rewired it, asked the chap, and he was absolutely over the moon about the repair. So I find that they work in really good harmony. All these extra people I've brought in over this last event, they all work together. If one can't do it, another one helps out, and it's a really, really good thing to go for.
Brilliant.
Do you know, I'm really sad to say we are completely running out of time, and I just wanted to do just a few kind of final bits just to tie it off nicely. I mean, there are so many lovely stories that Kate and Stefan could tell you about repair cafes, you know, heartwarming and touching stories, and how they've supported people within their community. And really, you know, I have nothing but great things to say about repair cafes. And I know that it's nice for us to go away with an action. And so I would say that my action from this would be, you know, go away and have a rummage in that cupboard and dig out that thing in the garage that is broken, that you've not quite got around to fixing, and have a look on the Repair Cafe website and see where your local repair cafe is. I mean, obviously they're not running at the moment. Some of them run every other month, some of them run monthly, some of them run quarterly, but you know, just see if there's something there, and if you're interested in finding out more, you know, follow some of the links and you know, start having a look. The other thing that I did want to mention, James, I can see James Pixton, I can see you're here, is in some areas there's another project which is a bit similar to repair cafes but a bit different as well, and they're called the Restart Project. They've got a different focus, so they focus mainly on tech, so phones, laptops, and the main difference is their focus is on teaching you how to fix your items yourself, and they tend to attract a younger audience. They've got a website as well that you can find your local one. They tend to be more in the big cities. I don't think we've got any down here in Devon, but I think they may be a good way of getting like the younger people in. There's lots of online resources, so iFix and WikiFix and things like that, and the Restart Project itself has an amazing forum where you can ask these amazingly talented repairers who will give you some support. So you know, if you've been inspired by this, dig out that broken item or that thing that needs mending, and bring it along and just see, you know, and see if you can get it fixed. You know, be part of your community, and you know, if you've got some time, if you've got some skills, volunteer, because you know, let's face it, it's one of those things, the more the merrier. So go out and just be part of the solution.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Thank you to all of you, and thank you for putting up with the toing and froing and offing and onning, and
Thank you.
Pop loads of those links hopefully into the chat there. But Catherine, can people get in touch with you if they want to?
Absolutely.
Happy for that.
Yeah, if they go to the to Recycle Devon, and we've got a website, and I've got my own reuse pages, which is about loads of stuff, how to upcycle and how to do all sorts of things. We've got a Facebook group, Recycle Devon Facebook group. You can have a look there, and I'll pop my email address in just a minute. So if anyone wants to contact me, please get in contact. And if I can't help you, then I will probably know someone that does. Yeah, so get in contact.
And I've also posted the link for this and for the replay in the festival group. So if you guys do want to come and pop any of your links below there, that'd be really helpful to have it all in one place for people to come and find.
That would be fantastic.
Thank you so much, guys. I'm hot-footing it over to the festival finale if anyone wants to come and join me at 8 o'clock. So yeah, I shall disappear, and thank you, and can't wait for Repair Cafes to get up and running again.
Yeah, brilliant. Thanks a lot, Jen. It's been brilliant. Thank you. Thanks, Stefan. Thanks, Kate.